I'll be presenting a case of parathyroid carcinoma, which we title it as Stubborn Tumor and Relentless Surgeon. This is the saga of a young lady which has been there for almost 25 years, and I'll make the long story short. I'm sure most of the alumni of SDPG are aware of this patient and have managed her at some point of time. So the beginning of a story has been aptly titled by our seniors as a parathyroid cripple and syndrome of disappearing bones. In 1996, she had come, she was a young lady in her 20s from a very poor socioeconomic background from a district, Devariya in Uttar Pradesh. When she had come, she was bedridden with a crippling disease of long bone fractures, loss of height, palpable neck mass, and with severe bone and muscle aches. And on examination, she had multiple brown tumors and limb deformities, and she was severely anemic. And briefly presenting her biochemical values, at that time, her serum calcium was 13.6 milligram per deciliter, and with very high value of intact parathormone, which was 1800 picogram per ml. And her ultrasound neck at that time revealed a 4 centimeter nodule, which was posterior inferior to the right thyroid lobe. And the impression given on sonography was a probable thyroid nodule or a parathyroid tumor. And at that time, SESTA-BB was not available at our institute. A technetium thallium subtraction CT scan was done that showed a right inferior parathyroid tumor, and an FNAC was performed at that time, which showed a parathyroid lesion. As we can see in this X-ray, there was extreme osteoporosis, and there were fractures which I think they're not probably appreciable in this X-ray, but she had extreme osteoporosis. And she underwent en bloc excision of right inferior parathyroid tumor along with the right lobe of the thyroid, and resection of the adherent strap muscles along with surrounding fibrofatty tissue. The histology revealed parathyroid carcinoma with capsular and vascular invasion, which are definitive, which indicate that it is a carcinoma and it was invading into the right lobe of the thyroid. Post-operatively, her serum calcium and intact parathormone came down to normal limits, and her symptoms remarkably improved. And she was asymptomatic and biochemically normal for over 5 years. And unfortunately, despite adequate counseling, she lost to follow-up in this meanwhile. And in 2001, she had come with a history of a nodule in the neck, which she noticed for 2 months. And on examination, it was in the plane of the strap muscle. So it was not deep, it was in the subcutaneous or rather strap muscle plane. And the ultrasound neck also showed that it was not a deep one, which was only a subcutaneous nodule. And her serum calcium, IPTH at this time, however, were normal. Her MEB scan was done at this time, which was normal. And the surgery performed was excision of this nodule alone. And the histopathology showed that there were nests of tumor cells infiltrating the strap muscles and with suggestive of recurrence. Again, after the surgery, she lost to follow-up because she was unmarried and dependent on her family brother. So she was also having financial limitations. This we assume the reason why she keeps not coming for follow-up. And her saga continues. And in 2008, she had come with severe bone pains with biochemical increased calcium and mild increase in PTH. At this time, her CECT neck was performed, and it showed a 2 centimeter nodule involving upper 2 tracheal rings in the posterolateral aspect with no breach of mucosa. And we performed excision along with the shaving of this local recurrence from the trachea, since there was no infiltration, along with right ipsilateral central compartment lymph node dissection. And postoperatively, however, this lymph nodes did not show any involvement of the tumor, and the tumor was completely excised. And postoperatively, she again became biochemically normal. And in 2014, she presented again with weight loss, dehydration, nausea, and abdominal pain. And this time, she had a hypercalcemic crisis with a calcium near 15 milligram per deciliter and much higher IPTH. And the MEB scan showed increased uptake in the right paratracheal region with multiple tumors, and excision of this recurrence with window resection of the trachea and closure followed by tracheostomy was performed. And post-operatively, she recovered. And in 2018, she had come with history of hemoptysis multiple brown tumors, generalized weakness, and loss of weight. On examination, there was severe anemia again, and there was no palpable neck mass. This time her calcium was around 17 milligram per deciliter, and intact parathormone levels were 1750 picogram per ml, and CECT neck showed local recurrence, as we can see in this picture, local recurrence in the right paratracheal region extending retrotracheally with intratracheal extension. However, maybe this time did not show any focus of increased uptake. All we could see were some brown tumors. There was no uptake in the neck. And the procedure performed was excision of this local recurrence along with resection of the upper two tracheal rings. And a part of the esophageal was also, a wall was also excised because it was seen to be adherent to the esophagus. Since there was no upper tracheal ring for anastomosis, we performed cricotracheal anastomosis and esophageal wall primary repair. And post-operatively, there was transient fall in the calcium, but there was again progressive increase in serum calcium this time. As we can see in the right bottom corner of the screen, this is the resected specimen. This is the trachea. This is the tumor, and this is the intratracheal part of the tumor. So this is the photomicrograph of the same tumor, which we have excised in 2018. This shows that there are multiple nodules of parathyroid cells with thick fibrous bands, which are characteristic of usually seen, though not pathognomonic, of parathyroid carcinoma. As we can see in this picture, photomicrograph, this is the hyaline cartilage, and this is the area towards the respiratory epithelium. As we can see, the tumor is inside the trachea. So this is the part of the tumor which was inside the trachea. And in less than a year, she came with progressive dysphagia, and her biochemical investigations again showed severe hypercalcemia, and the imaging showed now recurrence in the left paratracheal region with retrotracheal extension and the deviation of trachea to the right. But this time there was no intraluminal extension. Operative find, we have contemplated surgery upon her. I remember this intubation was very difficult, and it took almost 3 senior anesthetists to secure a tube for surgery. Intraoperatively, the hard mass was, it was fibrosed, plastered between the esophagus and criciotracheal anastomosis region. It was infiltrating the left thyroid lobe and entrapping the left recurrent trigeminal nerve. We have performed the resection of recurrence along with left hemithyroidectomy, and esophageal mucosa was injured at this time, and it was repaired, and left recurrent laryngeal nerve was sacrificed, leaving behind minimal residual lesion, and radiopic clips were placed for probable radiation in the post-operative period. And post-operatively, there was improvement in dysphagia. However, her calcium persisted to be high. Currently, patient is on medical therapy, which is, she's able to tolerate cinacalcet only 60 milligram per day, which is 30 milligrams twice a day. And as and when the calcium rises above 12 or 13, we give her usually monthly once bisphosphonates in the form of zoledronic acid. And she keeps having fluctuating calcium levels. However, she's able to tolerate semi-solids orally. And her methionine PET CT done in 2019 had showed residual mass in the neck with a lytic lesion in the skull. But however, repeat imaging is not possible because of financial constraints. And the interesting discussion points in this case would be, what are the options for management of local disease at this point of time? And what are the ideal or recommended imaging to detect metastasis, and which probably can differentiate the metastasis from brown tumors? And what is the role of adjuvant therapy to control local disease in the form of radiation? And what are the other medical management options that we have? Maybe monoclonal antibodies and such molecules, and any newer targeted therapy. Before I open the case for discussion, just a few points about literature that regarding parathyroid. It's very rare, and it's difficult to distinguish parathyroid carcinoma from other malignant neck lesions. FNAC is contraindicated from any parathyroid lesion, as the cells tend to grow along the tract side. And both diagnosis, even histopathological diagnosis and management of the parathyroid carcinoma are unclear because of its rarity, and only high index of suspicion by the operating surgeon, operating team, and endocrinologist is the only way, and surgery is the only definitive treatment. Despite complete resection at primary surgery, in many cases, recurrence is the rule than a chance, and is just a matter of time. Mortality in this pathology is mostly due to hypercalcemia rather than the local disease, and control of hypercalcemia also needs surgical excision. It's not easy all the time. Local recurrences can be managed safely and effectively with reoperation after initial medical control. And when there is metastasis, medical management most of the times is the only option available, and surgery would still be required to manage local compression. And chemotherapy is not useful, and the literature says that radiation has not been very helpful. So in this case, we have learned that parathyroid carcinoma has an intractable course with tendency to recur. Close follow-up is necessary to detect early recurrence, and reoperation with tumor-free margins provide the best chance to control the invasion into the upper airway. Thank you.